Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, Homeland Season 6. We're back. I can't believe this is still a thing, but I mean, it's still good. I'm glad it's around.
Yeah, well, you know, we mentioned this, I've mentioned it many times, but we're at a new season. We can bear to mention this again, but I was talking to Mark Gordon, who I know only through our kids' school, who is the EP of, done a ton of movies that everybody has seen, but is also one of the EPs of Ray Donovan on Showtime. And Howard Gordon is one of the guys who does Homeland. They're not related, but we were talking about Homeland, and I said that what is remarkable with Homeland is they had this season 1 that was still one of the best 5, certainly 10 episodes of television, seasons of television ever. And then 2 and 3 were not very good. Really a massive decline, and it seemed like the show was about to. And then they managed to resurrect themselves, and that is very, very hard to do. And he was like, "Yeah, it's incredibly hard to do. It's really impressive that they've been able to bounce back."
Yeah, there are very few shows I think that have ever course corrected in the way that the show has managed to do, and continues to do, because obviously they're perpetually reinventing themselves. You know, so after a season of Carrie being stationed in Berlin, now everybody's back in the U.S. and we're dealing with. We've made this joke before, how like there are 5 actors in Hollywood that have to play everything. The presidential candidate from House of Cards is now the president. Elizabeth Marvel.
I was totally. I had a moment of like, I thought did she win?
Which show?
And I was like, no, that's all House of Cards. That's all that I.
Yeah, we've never seen her before on Homeland, and you have to wonder, like, did they maybe just assume that Hillary was going to be president now, and they were going to be timely with their female president character?
Yes, of course.
You know, but anyway. So that's kind of interesting in that the timing of the show is like she's about to be inaugurated. She's doing all the briefings and getting all caught up with stuff, and she's having the intelligence briefings that Trump is apparently not going to. So you know,
and it was a great scene that when Mandy Patinkin and
Saul and Dar,
who plays Dar?
F. Marie Abraham.
F. Marie Abraham. When they give her the briefing, and just she's great. I mean, she's snotty and self-aware, and gets them and clear and has contempt for them, not in a Trump way, but in a way of, I know you guys are going to sell me on the fact that we need to be fully invested and bombing, and I'm dubious. So I like that merely that argument is going to be presented as an argument, because clearly Saul's at conscience, right? They're going to restore Saul as someone who's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't bomb everyone, but keeping the country safe is a hard, dangerous job that needs to be done.
I also like the fact that she acknowledges, well, I know there's the things that you're not even going to tell me and that I have no control over, so carry on with that. Let's talk about the stuff that I do maybe have a say in, you know.
Right, and then on January 20th, you'll fill me in on the other stuff.
Right.
And already Dar...
No, I'm thinking even then, there's things that the president doesn't know.
Right.
It's just a hunch.
Well,
that's what I gleaned from that. Maybe
I think you're right. And Dar is clearly going to... he's entering into politics where he's like, I don't think she's breaking her promises to the American people. I mean, which I imagine is a corrupt, and I'm a believer that the CIA is filled with super competent people who are, if we'd actually listened to them in 2003, we might never have gone to Iraq. But their voice is occasionally drowned out by people like Dar.
Sure.
Right, who will sort of...
Agenda-driven.
Right, yeah, agenda-driven, and will use politics to justify these sort of abhorrent, frequently illegal, but anti-democratic actions. Like, she promised to do this, and she's not doing it, so therefore I'm gonna put together a black op operation to do what I know is best. Right.
Yeah. And then there's the whole subtext of like, oh well, she's still destroyed over the death of her son in Iraq, and the show is not necessarily disagreeing with that. Like, we have that moment with her at the end where she's by herself, and clearly like that's a thing she thinks about all the time.
Yeah, and it's funny because I randomly, because I had been on the show we're going to review today, Taboo, my TV was set to FX. I turned it on last night getting ready to watch Bright Lights, and White House Down was on, and you've probably forgotten. I had forgotten, but that's James Woods' character's motivation, is his son was killed.
Oh, that's right.
He has a different reaction to it. Her reaction might be get out of the region altogether. His reaction is triple down and make it all worthwhile, right? Make his death mean something.
So we have let's see what the threads of this show is giving us. So we have the new president and how she's going to interact with the intelligence community. We have Carrie still working for our German billionaire as an advocate for Muslim Americans.
And the call we made last season, or at least I made, that she was you less enjoy calls, and they always turn out to be wrong. But there's no way this guy is. I mean, he's corrupt. The German businessman, but they never gave it to us last year.
No,
but
that's a long con.
That's a long con. So he's back and still pursuing Carrie.
Right.
Romantically.
Yes.
All right, go on.
And then of course her job now as an advocate for Muslim Americans is going to bring her in contact with our newly incarcerated young advocate, and that's, I think, going to take us to some interesting places because what is the line of who gets to merely sort of discuss and complain about American foreign policy, and who decides when they've tipped the point into, no, you're actually advocating for terrorism, and how much of a difference does it make when the guy who's making those complaints happens to be like a black guy with, a cap on, as opposed to, a blonde lady on cable news, So, and obviously the FBI is putting down their case. Again, 5 actors in Hollywood. That's Nurse Jackie's husband as the FBI agent.
Right.
So Showtime's keeping him in the fold. So they're establishing some things that, well, he translated this ISIS thing, and the show is not necessarily giving us this perfect angel who's being maligned, but at the same time, there's a possibility that this is being trumped up, if you'll pardon the expression, against him, in a way that
it doesn't seem like initially, though, that we might not agree with. Some people might not agree with him. All he's done is pointed out, he didn't say any of these people were heroes, right? Mm-hmm. But he doesn't condemn previous terrorist attacks with the same vehemence that we have become accustomed to.
Sure.
And he's got a blog. We don't know everything he's done. I presume we're going to get revealed piece by piece.
Did he really have $5,000 in cash under the mattress, or was that planted? There's.
And so you have $5,000 in cash under the mattress. What is that necessarily?
That's true too. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
He doesn't seem like he wants to get to his job. He doesn't seem like a terrorist. First of all, doesn't seem like a guy who. The problem is, of course, is that what stage of investigation is acceptable, and we seem to jump right to, well, we'll lock him up and charge him with treason,
right?
In which case you're not getting out, and there's no bail, and there's no way, and he's just going to sit there.
And we've kind of been down this road before on this show. You'll recall season 4, the med student. Who was at the wedding that got bombed with the drones, and was he affiliated with the guy?
Sure, yes, we have,
but
this is different.
But it's not exactly the same.
But because this is here,
yes,
and that's a significant. It's our justice system. This is, this seems like it might take on a little. There might be a night of quality.
I was totally thinking about the night of, and then the other thing also with this show is, so much of the early seasons were built on. Carrie is super smart, but boy, is she unstable, and who's fucking with her meds, and is she taking her meds? And I'm wondering if the show is maybe past that, or at least the idea of, well, now she is actively taking care of a young child, so maybe we can't futz around with that.
Or she's realized I have to take him.
Sure. I'm just saying dramatically though, as the show decided, we've milked that. There's enough other interesting stuff going on in the world today that she doesn't have to be that person.
And I mean this in the best possible way. What they've done with the show, which is nice, is but they still haven't tempered the fact that she can be an unpleasant bitch, and I mean that in the best way, not in a sexist criticism.
She's bitch is the new black kind
right.
of way,
she needs to be. She's a serious job, and but when the nurse tells her that maybe you shouldn't come see Quinn, and we haven't talked
every day,
and she's just she's in her face. She is thinking about herself. She is selfish in that moment, but still Carrie. That's how Carrie would react, and that's the thing. And her flaws personally. Manifest themselves as strengths when she applies that sort of relentlessness to her work.
Sure. So Quinn, you touched on. He is still recovering from the incidents where he got poison gas, right?
Sarin, I think.
Yeah, in Berlin, and is having a hard time of it. But
it's not so much the sarin; it's the fact that they woke him up.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Carrie woke him up to get information, and he had a heart attack.
Yes.
And these are the symptoms of oxygen deprivation, I presume.
Right. So he's clearly like, you can tell he has moments where he can't remember words. He has a hard. He's physically not in control of himself. There's that moment when he gets taken to the crack/whorehouse where the guy is taking his money.
That's just good business sense.
Yeah, it's all under one roof. Sure.
Right, yeah.
But like the guy, he's trying to hold the beer and get the wallet, and at the same time, you can see him thinking like, I could disable this guy in 3 seconds. Oh no, I can't.
There was
do
a
that anymore,
nice moment in the show because as my wife and I were watching, we both thought, oh, he's going to drop the beer. Like he's going to have that Jason Bourne moment.
Yeah.
How do I know how to do this? But he didn't. He just got smashed to the head.
Right. Exactly. And the woman who enticed him there, they kept showing her long shot. I thought, is that Julie Delpy? Like he said, it looked like Julie Delpy, but it wasn't. And it turns out this actress actually has been. Oh shoot, I forgot. When I looked her up last night, I was like, oh, of course, it's her, and she's been in these things, and now I've forgotten what they are. But
she's good.
She is.
Yeah, she is good and recognizable. And Quinn, that's
oh, Tangerine. She's the girl who gets dragged around Tangerine.
The tough, challenging scenes there for Rupert Friend, right?
Yes.
To play that, I thought he was good. He looks as frustrated as you would imagine somebody in that situation would be, and having Carrie come every day to cheerlead, I imagine would be like, it's just, I do not need this, man. No. But they love each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's and Carrie, of course, when he's going to go back into the hospital, she's like, there's some degree of I caused this, so she brings him home, but she's still locking him downstairs so he won't come into contact with her daughter.
Right. That's gonna go well.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Well, of course, if you watched it doesn't matter. There's no spoiler there. Obviously, he's gonna come upstairs. And I imagine, what's the daughter's name? Who cares? Betsy. Obviously, at some point, you imagine there's going to be a bond between Betsy and Quinn. Because Quinn is there's a decency to Quinn.
Yeah.
And consistently he's wanted to get out, and always this sense of duty and usually a sense of obligation to another person has kept him back in. But I'm glad he's still there, and of course, how is Carrie going to get involved?
With Saul, I was about to ask
Saul
that. Like, that's the question every year.
With Carrie and with Saul, right, and therefore with the new president, and how are we going to tie these strands together? But I'm interested, of course, and as always, it's an interesting show, and it looks like it's going to be here in the U.S.
Yeah, and I think, and definitely, to me, it felt very shot in New York and not, like Vancouver faking it. But then if you fake it well, you wouldn't know. So I don't know.
There's no way it was shot in New York. I can't have shot it in New York.
A lot of stuff shoots in New York now. I don't know. Yeah. Law and Order's been doing it for
ages.
But
they shot their Berlin was something crazy. They didn't shoot in Berlin.
That's true. It was like Prague.
And they didn't shoot, yeah.
I know they didn't shoot in the Middle East. Like that was
but it looked good. Like
yes,
they
faked. The show knows how to fake. It's okay, maybe it's not New York. I don't know. But this is what they do.
Anyway, good stuff. As always, we shouldn't just ignore the fact that Claire Danes is wonderful. It's a really great role, and she's terrific.
No, definitely, and I think obviously the show in a lot of ways. Certainly, if we're going to talk about it, it's sort of getting its mojo back. I mean, it all rides on her shoulders. So she was essential in making that happen, and making this character who's so complicated and so conflicted and so fiercely intelligent at the same time, like, kind of socially not the greatest, just endlessly fascinating.
It would be great if, since they're in New York, she could pass Damian Lewis.
Oh, from Billions?
From Billions, and just be like, sorry, just super familiar to me.
What? I bet the German guy knows him.
That's right, totally, that's right. They could, that'd be funny. Okay, good stuff. We'll be back next week. At least some people will be here back next week with episode 2 of Homeland.